we've had a lot of discussion about the way the constitutional amendment here was drafted, and we only had a short time to really look at this before it was required that people come and testify. There was a deadline for people to sign up to testify, to send written testimony, and a lot of people did, especially a large number sent written testimony. But one of the things that wasn't present in the bill until a sudden and quick amendment on the House side that sort of surfaced yesterday, we've been here, it feels like we've been here longer than 2 days, was this notwithstanding amendment. It's notwithstanding any other provision of law, notwithstanding any other provision of law at that general election, the following question, and then it lays out the question, which we would argue and have argued is a very confusing way to word the question, considering that this amendment takes away people's makes big impact on the Declaration of Rights that people have. However, the notwithstanding, what that essentially does by including that language is it actually changes several parts of election law. The reason that language was necessary is because we passed in a unanimous bipartisan way through both houses of the General Assembly this last session. We passed a very good bill that required that constitutional amendments be written in plain language and be given once the language is written by the Secretary of State, the public should have 15 days to review it and give feedback. And then it needs to be widely disseminated no later than 90 days before an election, by not just the state board, but the local boards. Widely disseminated, 90 days is the deadline. Like, that's when it should have been widely disseminated. And that's a great bill. It put a deadline at July 1st, and then another deadline, it kept the deadline at 90 days. What this language does is says, oh, we know we passed a widely supported bipartisan bill just this year about constitutional amendments. But we're going to ignore it, though, just for this one. Just for this one. So we don't, it's trying to get around, and I think you may find yourself in some trouble here, but it's trying to get around the idea that we didn't have to meet that July 1st deadline for something that literally is amending the Constitution involving how the Declaration of Rights are interpreted for every Marylander. This language is, in my view, this is a very, I want to say it's an offensive maneuver, because what it does is it says we just passed a law to make sure we protect constitutional amendments so the voters get an opportunity to weigh in, and we want to be sure the language is then widely disseminated by the 90-day deadline. And there's no way tomorrow's 90 days. There's no way it will be widely disseminated by tomorrow. I don't care what anybody says, because that's the deadline for it having to been widely disseminated. So State Board of Elections putting on their website and sending out an email is not wide dissemination, in my view. I don't know how courts will see it. I think this language should come out of this bill, because what it's trying to do is say, not only do you not have to abide by these deadlines that we just all voted to set in a 100% bipartisan supported way, and the governor signed, as he should have, this notwithstanding language, which my amendment seeks to remove, has the effect of changing, by my count, the way I looked at it was about as many as 6 different sections of election law are affected by this. Now, to different degrees, which I think also questions the single subject nature of this constitutional amendment bill. That may be a separate discussion. But by having notwithstanding, not only are you saying ignore all the dates that provide the voters with a chance to give feedback, to make sure we have a well-written, understandable constitutional amendment. It even says we're going to just write the amendment ourselves, and whether it's well-written or not, we think it's well-written, therefore it's fine. We're literally going against the bill we just passed and was signed into law about this specific issue. We don't have constitutional amendments all the time. In fact, we don't even have every election. Generally, in every election, there might be 1 or 2. We've had some elections where there were many, but it's pretty rare. And so we're now saying, never mind, we're not going to follow the law we just passed that protects Marylanders. I think I know it's wrong. It's the wrong thing to do. We should remove this language. So my amendment would remove that language and take the bill back to how it was introduced for the 36 hours the public had to look at it before they had to have signed up to testify, which is another story. We should have gotten our work done. We should have gotten our work done if we wanted to do this We should have had a special session before July 1st. And I think what happened was like, oh great, we can rush it in now, and somebody figured out, oh wait, the fiscal note writer explains that that's a problem. And so now this amendment has come in, and it's been pitched as a technical amendment, but it is not. It's absolutely directly contravening the will of this General Assembly. First of all, when we passed the bill and it was signed into law, but also it's a slap at, it's taking away the ability of voters to have a chance to see this, to weigh in, to give feedback on how the question is written. And it even says, basically, it's saying we don't even let the Secretary of State, who while is a partisan appointee, is at least theoretically a nonpartisan office, write the thing. We're writing it in law. So, Mr. President, I move the amendment, and I ask for a roll call vote, and I urge the body to stand with our constituents and reject this language.